Welcome to Karamini Reads, Reviews, Discusses, Monologues about everything and anything, and that's on period. Okay, so welcome, guys. I hope you guys were able to watch my last video where I kind of talked about some of my 2025 reads. And so, continuing in that vein, I think I've read like 6 books in 2025. Yes, I'm ambitious. I just had a lot of time on my hands. And so, I have my first 5-star reads. Ding, 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 ding. And no, it's not. It's not Akatar. Let me take it out of the frame. but I read this book called Broken, Not a Halal Story. And I kid you not, this book was fantastic. It was a very, 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 very good book. It was a good read. I must have finished it in a day. Yes, I probably had church. I mean, I knew I was like reading it in between doing stuff. That's how good this book was. So I have a couple of notes that I jotted down that I wanted to talk about. But first, let's talk about the synopsis. So Broken, Not a Halal Story is about a boy and a girl. They are Muslims and uh whew. Okay, so the girl is young. She's about 17, 18. And then she leaves home to go to university in Canada. So she lives in Nigeria. And then she bumps into the guy who's a bit more older. Let's say he's like 22, 25. And they find out that they are family friends. You know, their parents know each other. And so the girl, actually, she's actually friends with his sister. Like, she's very close with his sister. So when she was leaving home, her mom is like, you need to go to Auntie so-so-so's house, for the weekends or just when you feel like. And you can also, make sure they'll take care of you pretty much. Because her mom and the guy's mom were close friends. And so, she goes to her friend's house to, I don't know if it's like the first night. Anyway, she goes there. She meets the brother, which she then realizes, oh my gosh, she ran into him in the airport and he came off as rude, whatever. And so that's their kind of like meet cute. the meet cute, the first one will be in the airport, but then she meets him again, and no like attraction or anything. She's just like, oh, just like a meeting your friend's brother. You're kind of like intimidated, something like that. You want to look good, but not like in a, oh God, that kind of way. No. So she was, it was cool. And then I think like she met him another time, and then he walked up to her and was like, hey, do you want to watch a movie together? And then they go watch a movie, and that's kind of like how their story starts. It's they become friends, and before we know it, he's like, you want to be my girlfriend? And she's like, yes, she's like, yeah. And it was okay. I feel like the progression of the story was very, very good. I'm not a fan of insta love. So this didn't really have it. They just, like, oh, okay, he's cool, and forgot about him until, she saw him again. So, and then they steadily built up the relationship, and I like that. And then, they went, it was through her years in college. Okay, so that part, I felt like she could have gone in. We didn't sit with her for long in her college days. It felt like it was really fast. But anyways, go back to the story is, they meet, they fall in love, and then there's an obstacle, like a mountain that is like no way around it. And that, yeah, I don't want to say the whole story, but and if you have not read this book, maybe you might want to scoot off, read it, come back, and so that I can say my spoilers in peace. So I'm gonna pause. Pause it. Okay, we're back. Spoilers for I'm saying it. Please leave if you don't want to be spoiled. Okay, so like I said, they get into a relationship. Obviously, they are two young people. There's gonna be, romantic stuff going on, like kissing and those kinds of things. And apparently, okay, so I am aware of the Islamic religion. I don't know a lot about it, but I do know, they pray a couple of times a day and they have certain, restrictions. And those restrictions are called haram. Haram means it's forbidden. So apparently, not apparently, it is forbidden, to engage in any sexual things, thoughts, actions until you get married in the Islamic religion. And, you know, there was this part where he was pushing her and then he'd back off and be like, we'll do it when you're ready, that kind of thing. And I know a lot of people didn't like that. In fact, the first half of the book, it just felt like he just really wanted to get what he wanted to get. That's how I felt about Ahmed. And so it just felt like he really wanted to get with her, and he came off as pushy because he definitely crossed some lines, trying to make her think that she wanted something. I mean, she did. Let's be honest. She did, but I guess without his insistence, she probably wouldn't have acted on it. And so that made her feel guilty because she felt like she was betraying her religion, right? So, a lot to dig into. The book went deep. I really appreciated that because it's very easy for me to sit on the outside and be like, oh, that's easy, to judge. But if you're really the one going through that kind of struggle mentally and there's no one you can talk to because obviously she wasn't supposed to be doing what she was doing, e.g. kissing the boy. So yeah, I definitely understand. And she came from a very repressed, like her household is, strictly gender roles. Women do this, men do this, that kind of stuff. So who is she gonna talk to say, yeah, so there's this dude. So I mean, I definitely agree. A lot of the book resonated with me. Now, one of the points that I wanted to bring up was, I wrote this down. Um, I think that this story only worked because they were rich kids. Like the boy was rich, the girl was rich. Because otherwise, with the challenge that they had in front of them, there was no way if you were poor, you were ever going to be able to figure that out. He put a lot of time, money, effort into finding out the truth. And I feel like if you were poor, like, how is that scenario going to work? They would just be like, oh, we can't marry due to this thing. And that's the end of it. So I felt like it worked because they were both rich. Now, um, so okay, let me go back. I think I'm going on. The book was so good. Like it was such a good book. Like I was frustrated. I was like, ah! Okay, so here's what happened is, she met him, when she was first year in college. They, started getting close and then they eventually got into a relationship and they were, in love. Again, like I said, the first part of the book, he came off as pushy, as he just wanted to take advantage of her. So I wasn't really sure. But then the next part is they eventually were like, okay, let's get married. No. Yeah, let's get married. They told their parents and like, oh yeah, we like each other. We want to get married. Cool. Their parents were happy because obviously, like I said, they're family friends from back home in Nigeria. So I get so in their culture they have to do investigations into the family. The family of the bride's family does the investigations into the groom's family. I assume the groom's family is gonna do the same. We didn't get that point of view, but we're going off of the girl's family. So they did investigations into the guy's family, and through the series of things that they investigate, I don't know what it was. Like maybe they investigate like their background, their family history, that kind of stuff. And then something that came up on the background check was that they were milk siblings. First time I've ever heard of that. I mean, apparently it's in their religious text, so it's actually a thing. I don't think it's like she just fabricated it for the book. Not fabricated, but made it up is what I mean. But they're milk siblings. What that means is they were suckled by the same nurse, like a breastfeeding person. They suckled the same person. And in the religious culture, that's that they are siblings bound by milk. Yeah, I'll say it again. They're siblings bound by milk, and so they cannot get married because technically they're siblings. So she lost it. Because she was so in love with this dude, and she just, I mean, her parents were like, yeah, that's it. So yeah, that, you guys are just have to take yourself as brother sister. Excuse what? Sorry, I'm sorry. So it was hard for her to adjust to that, but she had to because that's what everyone was saying. And she's a very obedient girl. So she's like, well, my parents know best. This is what my culture says. I'm just going to do that. Ahmed, on the other hand, oh my God, that's when I became very impressed by him. Like I said, he gave off this vibes like he was just there for what he wanted to get, but no, he worked hard. He set up a investigation. He tried to find who the breast milk lady nurse person was. They couldn't find her, and so he had to do a lot. And this took like 4 to 5 or 6 years, maybe 5 years. But I mean, what I'm trying to say is it took time. It wasn't just like a today, oh yeah, we found it. Oh no, it took a lot of time. They broke up, they were separated. She, cut off all ties with him. And so you would think like, oh, he gave up. No, he spent the whole 5 years looking for this lady or trying to figure out. He went to religious leaders in Islamic culture to ask them, hey, do you think this makes sense? Do you think, what can I do? Blah, blah, blah. And then he went to meet one person who told him to, do something for the less privileged for a couple number of days, or for just do something that maybe that could, build him some goodwill. So he did that. And then he also funded her non-profit organization, but she wasn't aware. So he did a lot of things behind the scenes that I was so impressed. I was like, oh my God. And then, so this is the best character developments you could ever have in a character. When he first started, he wasn't a I'm gonna say good Muslim. He wasn't praying every time. He maybe would drink occasionally, which is haram in their culture. And I mean, he dated girls. I'm guessing he was doing stuff with the girls. So he wasn't the, ideal Muslim man to marry. But I mean, losing this girl, he just went a whole 360, and, he started to pray regularly. He was listening to, top voices in the Islamic space. And he was well versed in, scriptures. I don't know if they call it scriptures. I don't, text. Let me say text. He was well versed in Islamic texts, and he knew. And then he was giving to people, helping people, funding her NGO. And I mean, it was just so fantastic to see that he could go from 0 to 350. My opinion of him changed overnight. I was so touched that he never gave up. She gave up. She was done. She moved on, but he never did. So, that's one thing that I would say like was really, really fascinating to read. Another thing that I really liked about this book was I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, so I'm familiar with the Islamic culture, but I guess I didn't know how deep the religion was, and there were a lot of things about this that I learned about the religion in this book, which I appreciated because, again, like I know about it, I know they pray, but I just didn't really know a lot. So it was very interesting to get like an insight into the religion. I really appreciated that. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was, so do guys like Ahmed exist? Because when he did the 360, he became so, he became the perfect man for her. And I really, really, really loved that part about the book. It was the best redemption arc for someone. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. I'm not gonna say it all, but you know, it was a very thought provoking read. I enjoyed it 100%. Like I said, it was my first 5-star read of the year. I was a little sad after reading this book to go on Goodreads and realize or find out that a lot of a lot of people were rating it 1 star, 2 stars. I think because they were not happy with the fact that the writer was talking about someone you know engaging in breaking the culture or the religious text and something like that. And I felt really sad because I feel like the purpose of writing books is for people to understand things they don't know about. And so it's not to judge the character or the writer, is more for the uninformed, the uneducated to become more educated. And again, it's a fictional story. It's not real, right? And to be quite honest, we all have skeletons in our wardrobes. No one is perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to pretend and say I'm perfect. So I get it. I don't think the goal in life is perfection. I think the goal in life is happiness. Again, that's me. So, Broken, my very first 5-star book. I loved it. It was amazing. Please read it. It's not very long. I don't have the physical copy. I would have shown it, but I have it on the screen. It was a very, very interesting book by Fatima Bala. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate her writing this. I hope she writes more about it. I definitely will read these types of books. But yeah, let me know if you read if you've heard of this book, if you've read it. It's set in Nigeria and in Canada, and it's a really really good read. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share this video if you have friends and anyone who would love to hear my videos and my thoughts. So thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.